On the day of the accident, it was a normal day, but we had already decided to go for a ride on our own. We rode, probably 400 kilometres around Little Hartley. We were just heading home in bumper to bumper traffic, so not for a second did we think that that was going to end up the way it did. The day itself was fantastic, beautiful weather. Being on the back of the bike with Greg is my happy place, and that's what we were doing, what makes us happy. The last thing I consciously remember really is this sign saying 6 kilometres to North Richmond. How the accident happened, we were just creeping. Greg was trying to stabilise the bike because it's a big bike. Like, Greg had to make a choice between the back of the car and a tree. We were not separated from the bike, we were crushed, and that's why we're told that we had the injuries that we had, because we had no chance to bounce off through speed. My injuries in result of the accident were my left clavicle completely shattered, compound fracture tibia fibula, right leg, elbow, other internal, my pelvis was broken, lower back, a couple of the C facet joints, I think it's called. Greg's right leg was just completely shattered. To gauge my psychology, how I was psychologically after the accident, I never thought, why us? My thinking was always, well, we spent 16 years before this happened and we just had to get on with it. Going through the process after the accident was hard. Facing our limitations is hard. So yeah, just adapting to the new us. What we can do, what we can't do, what we try to do and maybe fail. I'm not back to the capacity. I never will be back to the capacity that I was working. I mean, I was working 40 hours before the accident. Now I'm lucky if I get 12. I mean, they've jacked me up to 12 hours. I just hope I can do 12 hours. After the accident, I was in Westmead for about 8 weeks and then transferred over to HSS for a further 6 weeks. It was determined that I needed to have at least another couple of weeks of intense physio. The NRMA refused to come through on the CTP with the extra couple of weeks in physio, rehab. And the social worker, and I can't remember his name, I can see his face, but I can't remember his name, he came in with your card, and he slapped it on the table, and he said, call them now. My experience with Stack's Goudkamp and you, Karina, I found very positive, very supportive, very helpful, always available. I had no problem with asking any question that I wanted to have answered. I would recommend you, Karina, because you're very easy to speak with. I was very happy with being able to have the ease of approach, because sometimes you just sort of worry, you know, that the question that you might ask may appear a bit dumb, but you never made me feel that way. How I'm going after the settlement is, have done a few things that probably financially would not have been possible. I built my son a granny flat. Because he was there 24/7 for us. I wanted to give him something that he now never has to worry about thinking about trying to get a roof over his head. The other thing is that we've got a big family, and I did some major renovations of the main house so that all the family can sit and not sit on top of each other. Day-to-day life is not too bad until I tried to do something. Before the accident, I was fearless, I'd do anything, I could pick up anything. Now I just have to be very careful. Because I was on crutches for so long after the accident, I've now got full rotator cuff tears, both shoulders. And that limits me greatly. Can't walk like we used to. This leg is now the bane of my existence. My husband and I decided that there were things that we struggled with through the course of our recovery, and we thought, we're not the only ones, surely we're not the only ones struggling with, just sometimes simply getting the lawn mowed, so we came up with this idea for Bikers4Bikers Down, and what it is, it's a network of mates, And it has snowballed to the point where we've got nearly 5,000 members actually on the page, but of those 5,000 there's 800 dedicated volunteers that can be called at any given time to help Greg and I both feel that maybe this was the reason we survived the accident, so that we could help others who would be struggling the same way that we did.